In 1940, Winter Park Ski Area opened for business with T-bar tickets at $1. Founded in the Fraser River Valley, Winter Park was Colorado's first major ski area. Visionary George Cranmer transformed a timber-cutting site into a grand mountain playground.
Winter Park was built where it is because it's the west portal of the Moffat Tunnel. George wanted people to be able to come out of the city by train, recreate for a day and return, and that's how the original skiing started. When George came up with the idea of building the ski area, he came up with something like $30,000 that he was going to use to build it, and he got a federal grant for that. And then he discovered that it was going to take all of that money to build the lift, so he didn't have any money to clear trails. So he used CCC, Civilian Conservation Corps workers, and volunteers to cut the trails. My dad was one of those volunteers. And he brought my brother and I along, and we were too little to swing an axe or hold on to the end of a saw. So they gave us a bucket and a dipper, and we became the water boys. Winter Park was run by the city for the first 10 years of its existence. It started in 1940 as a part of the Parks and Recreation program. In 1952, they put another $75,000 into the area, and that's the last public money that ever went into that operation. Winter Park's the only major resort in the country that has twice daily Amtrak service. And you can get to Winter Park from the East Coast or from the West Coast by Amtrak, and it stops in Fraser.
Jerry's father, Thor Groswold, invented and manufactured the famous Groswold ski, one of the best-selling skis of the 1930s and 40s.
He was out of a job, and he decided that since he couldn't find a decent pair of skis, he started manufacturing skis. He didn't know anything more about how to manufacture a pair of skis than the average skier today would know. And when I was a little kid, my brother and I used to go down on Saturdays and shovel sawdust, because making skis, you created an awful lot of sawdust and shavings and so on. We made a lot of snowshoes. I can remember as a kid making snowshoes. That was an ugly job. It was all done with rawhide. You had to soak the rawhide, and it stunk to high heavens and was slimy and yucky to handle.
Throughout the West, Thor Groswold sold the sport of skiing. He developed ski areas, ski clubs, and gave away thousands of free skis. It was a passion he passed on to his son.
They had a high school meet. It was here at Winter Park. And I beat all of the high school kids. I'm a little junior high school guy, and I beat all of these guys and beat them pretty badly in the downhill. Well, I was kind of full of myself, and my dad came over and said, "Jerry, they're short of gatekeepers. Go up and help gatekeep." And gatekeep is, you're a gate judge. You stand there, literally. And I said something like, "Well, I'm not going to be a gatekeeper." And I can remember my dad took me sort of by the nape of the neck and kind of pulled me up to all of 4 feet or whatever I was. And he looked me in the eye and he said, "Young man, you need to understand, in a sport like skiing, you put back more than you take." And he let go of my coat, and I hiked myself up the hill and became a gatekeeper. And that was his basic philosophy. You put back more than you take. And he lived his life that way.